following program has been brought to you by Koshan 555. On January 23rd in New York, Koshan 555 kicks off its 10-city national culinary competition promoting heritage breed pigs and breed diversity. The tasting event will challenge 5 chefs, including Brad Farmery, Peter Hoffman, Bill Telepan, George Mendez, and Sean Rembold, to prepare a menu created from 5 heritage breed pigs, nose to tail. Pig-loving Epicureans will have a chance to sample these dishes along with wines from 5 different small wineries, as well as the opportunity to help select the king or queen of pork. In addition, guests will be treated to whole pig breakdown demonstrations, followed by a whole roasted heritage breed pig and dessert. General admission tickets start at $125 per person and are available at www.koshan555.com. That's www.kochon555.com.
About food, we talk about music with musical dudes. Finger on the pulse, Snacky Tunes.
Understand. Don't just look, come on and take it. Cause what I've got, you know that you can't fake it. Cause if you want the love of a man, come and get it. Oh, if you want the love of a man, you got to get with it. So, if you want the love of a man, come and get it. Oh, if you want the love of a man, you got to get with it. Listen, remember girl, I've been around. But I won't stop. Now it's your turn to make a choice. Don't just sit there, girl. Stand up and raise your voice. Cause if you want the love of a man, come and get it. Oh, if you want the love of a man, you got to get with it. So, if you want the love of a man, come and get it. And then, oh my God, we'll come tumbling down.
Woo! Happy New Year, listeners. You're listening to Snacky Tunes on heritageradionetwork.com. I am one half your host, Finger on the Pulse, Terry Diabolic, wiping his mouth of chicken sauce.
Oh man, these chicken wings are awesome. Artisanally plated, as it was so properly called.
Yeah, New Year, new menu at Roberta's, and we are indulging. Happy New Year, never forget.
Happy New Year. We took a few weeks off,
and now we're back.
We needed it. I needed it.
I didn't need it.
As you listen to the last shows, I was obviously not giving it my A game.
No, you're giving it your H for hungover game.
Yikes. I thought we had a resolution you're going to have better jokes in 2011.
I was no part of that.
Okay. Well, we got a great first show of
Smashing,
the new...
if you will.
I won't. We've got a great first show of the year. That opening track was by Eli Paperboy Reed.
Come and get it. The titular single.
Oh yeah, that's how we do it here. We wait till you take a bite. We go wait for it now. A few words of Eli Paperboy Reed. Welcome to Snacky Tunes.
Thank you very much.
We are presenting a show on Wednesday with Doug DeFalco and Brooklyn Bowl called Soul Bowl, which we had done. I think it's been almost like a year, and Eli will be headlining, which we'll be talking about in a little bit, and he'll be
Third installment, right?
third installment. He'll be playing some live tunes.
Yeah, it's gonna be
and
really awesome.
Talking about Boston pizza, not really, but
No.
Boston. But first up on the show, we have Justin Chearno. Heyo.
What's up?
Formerly of Turing Machine, currently of Uva Wines, and and that's it. I just covered like 2 decades right there. Easily. Welcome to Snacky Tunes.
Good to see you guys.
So, Justin, I saw your band play when I was 18, right 2000 in Philadelphia at the short-lived and not much like 40/40.
It's hot. It was a hot night. It
was a hot night.
I remember that.
So talk to me about your move from indie rock, math rockness into wine.
Well, I mean, for years, I'd been in bands and played, and you get used to the rolling rock and the pizza diet and things like that. But I'd grown up in a family that food was a really big part of their lives, and so there were little things here and there that we would try to find on the road that weren't Taco Bell or things like that. And you get into food, you start going to restaurants, you start learning about things, and I think when I had 4 other guys to do it with, being in a band, or 3 or depending, I was always in a bunch of bands. And then when you start to go to restaurants, you realize that the one component that's missing is when that guy comes by and asks you what you want to drink. And no matter how much you know about like cuisine or the restaurant or the chef or anything like that, if you don't know the wine, like you're losing half the battle. So I started reading about it, trying to get into it, and I found a book probably say like 96. Yeah, called The Wine Avenger. It was written by this guy, Willie Gluckstern, who was a wine buyer for a store. It's like a tiny little book. I heard about it on NPR. And he ran a tiny little shop called Nancy's Wines for Foods up on Columbus. It's gone now. But his whole thing was, it was like the first thing I'd ever heard about wine where it read like a fanzine or something, like tons of swearing, like really confrontational. The guy's considerably older than me. And it was kind of like, hey, don't feel like an idiot because you don't know about this. It's not an exclusive thing. The people that make this wine, that make these things, are farmers and normal people, and you don't have to be afraid because the guy in the corduroy blazer with the beard is mad that like you're wearing a Slayer t-shirt in the wine store.
I feel like there's 2 approaches to wine these days. There's the old guard, who's very pompous and sort of stoic about it, and the new fuck off old guard, new guard, which is just like, doesn't have to... you don't have to be this uptight, buttoned-up type of person about it. Is there a middle ground?
Yeah, there's a middle ground because I think the more you learn about anything, like music, whatever, like the old guard and the old things and the classics always come back around. I'm sure that you guys probably had that period of your life where you were like super into Black Flag and you were like, the Beatles suck, man.
Yeah.
And then you get older and you're like, hey, the Beatles... Not bad. Pretty good songs. Not bad. That John Lennon guy, he can sing.
He wrote a couple tunes.
And so the same thing happens with anything you get into. I mean, if I was into books, probably feel the same way about writers, or if I was into movies, probably the same thing about directors.
What would you say is the Black Flag of wines and the Beatles of wine?
Those are complicated questions. I'm still like, I've only been doing this for a few years, and like, if you would have asked me that as a kid, it's like, I have the things that I love, and I have the young guys and the classical guys that I like, but I still think like you set yourself up to kind of look like an asshole answering that question.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Actually, that's interesting. What are some questions like regarding wine that you will never answer? You'll always just delve.
I'm from working retail for a few years. I've got some good ones.
Yes.
Guy came into the store a couple months ago, opened the door, and said, he actually called. Sorry, this is different. He called, and he said, you got red wine? And I said, yes. And he goes, which ones? I like that one. That's a good one. That's a long phone call. Or lots, there's lots of stuff, like everything, like, and again, like going back to music and Same thing that we all talk about. Everything has a time and a place. So you could be in a car with a girl and you're 17 and like some really ridiculously horrible dag nasty song came on and you love that song.
Right.
And it's close to your heart. Now when you listen to it now, it takes you back to that place. But on paper, maybe not the best song. And, you know, if you'd heard it in a different context, you wouldn't like it. Same thing happens with food and wine. You could be on some vacation or in a right room with the right group of people on the right night. Somebody opens something and you drink it and like, it's a really powerful experience. And without that, and every time you have it, it'll take you back to that experience, but it won't necessarily work on its own.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's, I think that the sense memory and things like that are like really important. And it's romantic or whatever, but I'm not a clinical dude.
Right. So how do you approach a wine and finding out about it? I mean,
Well, the internet, you know, it's like, I mean, there are like message boards and there are like things like that. And there's certainly like, there's become sort of a hipster wine culture, for lack of a better word. And a lot of that stuff is in France. And there are lots of like tiny little 20-seat, not lots, but more than we have, 20-seat little bars run by 20-something guys who are friends with some 20-something guys that make wine and sell the stuff. And you listen to great music and drink all night and eat really solid food. And it's like, there's like, you know, like a Roberta's kind of thing, but on a much smaller level, actually. So I think spaces are so much smaller there. But there is, you know, I do a lot of traveling. I read a lot of websites about stuff like that. And I'm lucky enough to have a lot of friends in the industry that'll hit me to stuff and clue me in. Like at Uva, what I do for a living is I curate sort of the wine for the store. So we work with just an obscene amount of numbers of wine distributors. And there are guys that I like, and they'll call me and be like, dude, I tasted something, or send me an email, you should taste this. And today before I came in, between 11:30 and noon, I did taste 20 wines.
Spit or swallow?
Oh, spit, hungover swallow. Like the best thing that happened to you in my job is like you've been out all night with you guys or something, and I get in and I'm just beaten, and I look at my calendar for the day and it's like, oh, champagne tasting, awesome. The worst thing that could happen is a guy comes in with like 6 bottles of gin. Right. You know, which has happened.
And just, is this generational? And I know.
Yeah, I think it is. I think that there's something, I mean, it's always been, you know, it's, we're talking about something that's thousands of years old, but there is definitely a thing right now where it's like a cool thing to be into. And I think that's good for wine. But there are lots of, you know, like, I think, you know, because for like a music kind of thing, there are lots of people making free jazz versions of wine that aren't for everybody, and they're going to learn and maybe become more conventional over time. But there's a lot of stuff out there that like chemically is like on paper incorrect or screwed up, or like there's bacteria things or stuff like that. And little by little, people learn how to do what they're doing, but they're not afraid to make mistakes and put their name on it and put it out there and get people to talk about it. And it's really fun.
Awesome. All right, well, we're going to talk about some of those wine mistakes in 2011 and how we can be part of that disaster coming up. You're listening to Snacky Tunes on Heritage Radio Network. And in honor of Justin, we have a Turing machine on Form and Growth. Yeah, that's right. Let's throw back.
Wow, man, this is some indie rock.
Yeah, so I'm Terry Diabolic. Looking to never forget. We got Eli Reed coming up soon, and here we go.
Yeah, now you got caught with a bite in your mouth.
Huh?
Huh? Here you
Going
chewing.
back to the 90s.
Yeah.
On form and growth. Turning machine.
Welcome back to Snacky Tunes. We are your host, Finger on the Pulse. We have Justin Chearno from Uva Wines. And coming up later, part of the show, we have Eli Paperboy Reed playing live, talking about the upcoming party we were doing together on Wednesday at Brooklyn Bowl.
Can I say one thing?
Yeah.
I forgot how good this pizza was.
It's really good. You take a few weeks
Take
off.
a few weeks off.
I'm looking very forward to eating
Eat
it.
it. Here's a question I have before we get into mistakes. How do you build a wine program? Like we're curating, like festivals and everything. Like where do you start?
What's that first bottle of wine?
No, I mean
I know what you
really.
mean. I know what you mean. I was lucky enough when I got my job. There's this guy Shane Smith, who was the buyer before me, who was lucky enough to have worked in some shops before, took over, and he kind of mentored me, and he kind of showed me the ropes, and I learned about who the distributors were. But I was handed a wine store full of wine. Right. And I think what I did, like I think most people do that get that job, is they want to put their mark on it. So I sort of started changing things around. But I just, I have a list of people that distribute wine in New York, and you start tasting things and you find it. There are a million liquor and wine stores in the city. So I think everyone, if it's good, has its own voice or has a style of voice. And I feel like we're part of a community of other stores, even though, in the end it's competitive. There are people that support each other. But I'm lucky enough, the Uvas in Williamsburg, and we have places like Diner and Marlowe, Robley Tea Room, some other Sprite and Dival.
Are you supplying to them directly?
No, we're not allowed to do that. But we all have we all see the same people. We all drink the same stuff. All their staffs work, shop at the store. We eat at their restaurants. It's cool.
So is it one of those things where you can, be like, you'll kind of build a community of wine where it's like, if you have a nice table wine over at Marlowe's, you can go find it at Uva.
Totally.
Like,
I mean, it happens. I think maybe a lot of people that work in restaurants aren't super psyched when someone comes into your shop and finds out the wine that they sell for $40 or $50 is $9.
Yeah, no.
Right.
But I mean, that's just the game. I mean, that's the way it is everywhere. And it's better to sell the wine than not, especially when you're talking about young people. Like the people that make this stuff isn't made in factories. These are made by I wouldn't be surprised if they started doing something like that at Roberta's. It's made by dudes in a room, a lot of times just a little bigger in this studio, that work all year every day, and they make it, and then hopefully some money comes in. But they, nobody's going out and partying.
If there isn't a wine called Wine by Dudes yet, we're putting it out next year. So 2011, what's coming up? What are we looking forward to that's a little out there?
I think things that are, the things people are going to be doing this year, I think there's going to be a lot more discussion about, because now everything's natural and organic, and there's all kinds of technical discussion. I think something people are really going to start talking about is okay, we make all these things, without additives and without putting anything in them. But what about how much gasoline goes into the tractor? What about the fact that everybody in New York is drinking tons of wine from France? But everybody's oh, I don't ride a car, I don't drive my bike. But nobody has a problem with that stuff going from a truck to the pier, getting on a boat, getting off the boat, going to a warehouse, going from the warehouse to your local wine shop. And I think there's going to be a lot of talk about ways to cut down on to make things sustainable, much more sustainable. I think that's going to be a conversation, but still maintaining being able to get stuff from overseas. So that's going to be a big part of it.
I mean, that's the big thing that happened in the last number of years, where organic was the huge word, and then organic was well, it's organic from California, so that's not great. So let's go locavore. I mean, can you see a strong locavore movement for wines? Is that even is that possible?
That's probably get me in trouble, but I have not seen the results in wine from this area that I've seen from other parts of the world, but they haven't been doing it for that long. You know what I mean? And there are things that are good, but a lot of the things that are good, would I drink Sauvignon Blanc from Long Island for $32 a bottle when I can get really awesome Sauvignon Blanc from a 14th generation winemaker in the Loire Valley for $18 a bottle?
Yeah,
probably not.
Yeah,
and it's tough, but I mean, That is a problem. But I think people here it'll come around. I think it's just going to take some time. On the other hand, we live in a culture where you can grow anything anywhere now. Whereas when all these places were planted in Europe and even a lot of places in California in the old school, things were planted there because that's where they grow. And that's where they come from. And that's, we're talking about a lot of people have been doing this since the single digit years.
Yeah.
So
where's the new region for wine? Because a lot of the times when people are looking for a good bottle of wine that's affordable, it's coming from a wine region that has yet to really blow up.
a lot of people are talking about the Canary. Well, like by a lot of people, I mean like 7 people in New York City are talking
Everybody's talking about.
Oh my God! Seriously, my mom called me about
This
it.
is so much like music. Like everybody's talking about.
There's a lot of, there's like 2 people that once a month talk about wine from the Canary Islands in New York, and that's sort of become a little buzz thing. People are talking about those wines, and there's a fair amount of people making it. And there's a young importer named Jose Pastor that's starting to bring this stuff in. I don't know that much about it yet, but things I've tasted have been cool.
I just played a show in the Canary Islands.
Did you really? Was it cool?
It was amazing.
Really?
It was really
How was the
great.
wine?
I didn't really have any wine, but you could ask my bandmates. I think they drank a lot.
Yeah, it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be really killer. So that's neat. I think that we're going to start to find little places where people have been doing things artisanally for a long time, just like anything that we're all into. It's like finding like a little music scene. Like remember when Omaha, Nebraska became the big thing?
Saddle Creek wines, baby.
Yeah, so like things like that. I mean,
This is the first wine in my life.
God. Wow, you're right. You're right. No New Year's resolution.
Yeah,
No
no
New
New
Year's
Year's resolution. So we're gonna bring this to a close, but before I have a question, favorite red, favorite white, and then if you had all the money in the world, like the wine that you would just buy a case of and not care about price.
And favorite champagne.
Favorite things, that all changes every week because I'm again like an inconsistent person. But right now, like my favorite thing is probably Jean Foyard is like a winemaker in Beaujolais. He's really beautiful Beaujolais. I totally love his wines. He makes a Cru Beaujolais in Morgon, Côte de Pie. That's like my favorite red thing to drink right now. Favorite white wine is by this Sicilian producer named Frank Cornelissen, who is just super controversial and room dividing, and he makes this really crazy white wine with a bunch of local varietals that I poured at your party, but people were into it. Yeah,
the white that's like
the
a red.
multiple white. Yeah, it's like made like on its skin's like red. I like that a lot.
Get on the right side of that
again
argument.
for the stuff that I'm into. Between the 7 people that like what I like, totally predictable answer. Yeah. And right. And I like this champagne. I really like this champagne called L'Art Frere, which is brought in by a buddy of mine named Michael Feuerstein. That's just like really naturally made, organic, old school, but like laser dry and focused and delicious. If I had all the money in the world, I'd rather spend it on like 100 cases of awesome wine than one in the end. But come on, than have an awesome party. Let's, but I guess like I haven't tasted a ton of the really top end stuff because I don't run Le Bernardin or something like that. I run like a dingy little wine shop in Williamsburg. Dingy. Well, you know what I mean. I hope it is in a good way. But I don't know. I'd probably buy like there's this really famous. Really incredibly famous, some say most famous wine in the world, Domaine Romani, Conti, and Burgundy. Never tasted it. I'd probably love to buy a case of like an older vintage of their La Tâche or something like that and hang on to it and get into it, or just open it for bros at like 3 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, when it really
makes a difference.
Really makes a difference. Yeah, what is that? Not sewer water?
Yeah, exactly.
So thank you so much. Just one last question: if someone our age is looking to get into wine, doesn't know anything about it, what's the one piece of advice you could give them?
Drink. Really, I'm serious. Yeah. Like drink and get them. Like drink and like find that one thing that you like. Like get a region that you're into. Like, hey, I had this wine from the Loire Valley, and then drink wine from the Loire Valley and spend time there, and then be like, oh, this grape grows in this place, and then drink wine from Burgundy. But like really spend time with the place. You know, and if you're in a restaurant and you see something that you like, take a picture of it in your phone. Yeah. Because 90% of the people that come in are like, I had that wine, the red one with the castle on the label. Yeah. And it's better, like, you'll never go back there, and that'll stop you from getting into it. There needs to be like Shazam for wine.
Just like spit
copyright
on your phone.
You spit in your phone.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, Justin, thank you so much. You got to hang out for a little bit to the end. We got Eli Reed coming up next, and to lead into that, we got a nice 3-song mini set of Eli's songs off the new and the old album. Snacky Tunes on heritageradionetwork.com. I'm Terry Diabolic. Never forget, finger in the air. All right, here we go.
I've been watching you for a long time. You're making me crazy, about to lose my mind. You better be ready, 'cause it's time to go. So stand back, 'cause I'm gonna blow. Gonna be an explosion, baby. Gonna be an explosion, baby. Gonna be an explosion, baby. down it down, way down to the ground. And when we get down, you better pray you ain't around. Listen. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Quit messing around with every man in town. If you want me, baby, you know I'll be around. Oh, it's a shame you keep playing games. Baby, stake your claim on me. When I told you I love you, you just looked away. But when I went for the door, you begged me to stay. If you love me, baby, take my name. Oh, just stake your claim. Oh, stake your claim, yeah, yeah, yeah. You can't tie me down, yeah, and still be free. You that it's not there. Stealing looks and hiding smiles. Girl, that ain't my kind of style. I know you're scared to show the signs, but I already know just what's on your mind. Oh, don't be bashful, don't be shy. Can't love nobody on the side. I found you out. I know you love me. I found you out. I know you care. It just goes to show, if you don't say it, oh, it doesn't mean that it's not there. Oh, in love you don't have to explain. Nothing ventured, nothing gained. I found you out. Oh, I know you love me. I found you out. I know you care. It just goes to show, if you don't see it, oh, it doesn't mean that it's not there.
Eli Reed.
Really?
Yeah.
I think we should just stick with all right. Like, you know, that kind of like.
Oh, I was trying to mix up for 2011.
Nope.
Anyway, that was
Oh.
a short Eli Reed mini mix. I Found You Out, Stake Your Claim, and starting off with Explosion. Eli, Paperboy Reed, welcome to Snacky Tunes.
Thank you guys for having me. I'm very excited about it.
Yes, you know, it's. I was talking to Justin earlier when we were on the train over here, which is probably why we got the wrong stuff. I was like, who should we have on the show that would make sense this first week back? And then I'm like, and I've got Soul Bowl with Eli Reed on Wednesday, but really, who could we have on the radio show? And I wish that someone had sat there to see the lightning bolt strike through my head. So Eli. Well, and
That was a great story, by
thank
the way.
you.
Yeah.
Hey, man, how are you want to do these transitions?
So, Eli, new album out,
New album out.
about to go back on the road.
Yes.
Talk to me how the new year is going so far.
Well, I'm excited. We got to take the month of December off, which is always fun. And then, really hitting the ground running for 2011. And sort of, the album came out, it was sort of like a soft release here in August. And now we're kind of picking it up with a brand new, start for 2011, which I'm excited to really to hit the road, in earnest. And we're going, doing a short U.S. tour, starting with the Soul Bowl on Wednesday at Brooklyn Bowl, and then in February we're doing this residency at the Cosmopolitan in Las Vegas, which I'm very excited about, and doing some solo shows on the West Coast. I'm gonna go to South by Southwest, head back to Europe, and maybe Australia in April. So a lot of stuff is really starting to happen, which is very exciting.
It's interesting. The Cosmopolitan, I keep hearing about the place, like the
Yeah.
new, like real rock and roll Vegas hotel. I think not that this is rock and roll, but it was like something like Jay-Z and Radiohead or something like that for New Year's.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Yeah, so yeah.
Were you there?
No, I wasn't there, but my manager was there and told me that it was nuts.
Oh,
The text was like crazy, Jay-Z and Radiohead back to back. But we one of the things that I like about you is that you're from Boston, and I know we were talking about it before because Darin. Or Terry, as we call him on here, went to go visit this farm, and he's like, "Hey, yeah, I just took a 2-hour detour to Anna's Taqueria, and I brought you back a burrito."
That's the way to do it.
Is that really is it that much of commitment to that place that if you were like in a certain radius, you'd be like, "Yeah, let's just dip back up in there"?
Well, in Boston, there's definitely burrito wars that go on.
Yeah.
In the burrito circles. But for those of people that don't care about such things, then Anna's Taqueria is the place to be.
What's the main competition?
I mean, there's El Pelon.
El Pelon, which burned
Went down.
down, but now I think that it's open again.
Suspect.
Yeah,
South West
exactly.
There was
But,
refried bean fire.
Everybody's like, the sour cream is not authentic, man. I'm just like, it tastes delicious.
Yeah,
Whatever.
it tastes great.
You know?
Okay, so it's authentic, but it tastes
I will
terrible.
say this: if your main argument is authenticity
Yeah.
in the Mexican Boston burrito war, you are on the wrong
Yeah,
page. sir.
really just gotta.
Oh yeah, it's
you know.
that normal check. I went to school in the Northwest, and a million and one burrito places.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like authenticity really does come into play there. But there, it's like up to Mexico, through Texas, and do I go left or do I go
Yeah,
right? And
exact-
mostly
most people go left.
Yeah.
There's the Cosmic Canteen down near Kenmar.
There's a bunch of places. I haven't lived in Boston, and it'll be my 3-year anniversary as a Brooklynite coming up next month. But it doesn't. I mean, I was going to Anna's Taqueria since it opened when I was 12. So
Yeah, I
I
mean,
feel like I have an allegiance there.
I was there for their 15th anniversary.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they're giving her free tacos.
Nice.
I mean, did you plan that?
When
It's not important.
Look, it's not important. I was just there. Look, when you're committed and dedicated to something that you love,
Exactly.
you're just there.
So why don't we get you to play a song?
All right.
And then we will come back and talk about the song and among other things. You are listening to Eli Paperboy Reed live on Snacky Tunes.
Are we gonna do one from the new album that you guys didn't play? This is Name Calling. A long time ago, when we were in school, you used to laugh at me, call me a fool. How I dreamed of the day that you would change your tune. I never thought that day would come so soon. You went from name calling to calling my name. You went from schoolyard teasing to all night pleasing. Used to be so much trouble, now your love is doubled. Things will never be the same since you went from name calling to calling my name. Alright. It all started that day after summer vacation. I knew I had changed your heart's occasion. Oh, don't know what I did. Change your mind. Must have been something within you. All the time you went from name calling to calling my name. You went from school teasing to all night pleasing. Used to be so much trouble. Now you're with me on the double. Things will never be the same since you went from name calling to calling my name. Now instead of fussing and fighting, we're making sweet romance and love letter writing. Like the old saying goes, and girl, you must take heed. I may not be what you want, but I'm what you need. Now I've forgotten those things in the past. We can build a love affair and make it last. Oh, 'cause sticks and stone might hurt me, words can't do no harm. Now instead of running from you, I'm running to your arms. You went from name calling to calling my name. You went from schoolyard teasing to all night pleasing. Used to be so much trouble, now you're with me on the double. We'll never be the same, never be the same, never be the same. No more schoolyard games, never be the same, never be the same. So you went from name calling to calling my name.
Whoa.
All right.
First live performance of 2011. It's a barn burner.
I always love to know, most songs that we have in here are about like love, loss, and past relationship. Is it multiple people in the songs, or do you find like it's usually one or two people that have been like giving you heartbreak over years, or is it imaginary?
It's either one or two people or it's imaginary. I think that it's like, I mean, either you're talking about something specific or you're talking about something that you're making up. For the most, at least for me, but those one or two experiences can be life altering.
Yeah, right. Like,
So they even inform your imaginary songs.
fair enough. Was that about a real person or a fake person?
It was sort of about a real person.
That's pretty good.
You know, sort of.
Have you written any songs that have predicted relationships?
No. I don't think so.
Not yet.
Not yet.
Life is short.
Yeah.
So, you know, the first time I actually heard about you was when I was spinning mostly soul music and calling through blogs like that. And I found Take My Love With You.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought it was an old song. There was no reference. It was just a song on blog. And then I realized that you were still playing. And in my mind, you're like, oh, here's some guy who's like now 65.
Right.
And then I realized that you were younger than I was. And then I was like, oh, well, we got to go see that guy. So how have you really, I guess, found that sound that really makes it sound, I mean, you sound more like the old school than someone like a Mayer Hawthorne. Like he does a lot more like, it's sort of soul, but it's also sort of like modern. You have a more classic sound.
Yeah, I mean, I think that it's not like, not to put too fine a point on it, but I'm trying not to, I don't really spend a lot of time thinking about it. I mean, in a way, this is the music that I was raised on. I mean, I grew up listening to R&B and to gospel music, country music, and soul music especially. You know, it was always around my house. It wasn't something like Mayer Hawthorne, for example, you know, was a hip-hop kid and then became, you know, a devotee of soul music, which is, you know, and a lot of people come to it that way, which I think is awesome. But for me, if I came to soul music through the blues, you know, and I was like listening to blues from a very, very young age, and that was like, I was always I liked ballads and I liked the deep stuff, you know. So for me, I was never like, you know, into hip hop and then got into funk or whatever because of the break beats. I was like, I'll play all ballads if I can. You know? So it was really about the emotional quality of the singing and of the music for me more than it was about almost anything else. So like, I didn't even care about the beats. I don't care about what, I mean, now I've sort of changed my approach a little bit, but for the most part, it's really about the emotional impact of the music.
Are there any songs from your childhood that have made it into your set as covers, or that you just identify as just, you know, the end all be all of the music? I feel
like through my whole, you know, the band, the True Loves or whatever, has been playing. We started playing around Boston. I guess it was 2004, 2005, and I feel like we still play this one song called "I'm Tired of Wondering" by Robert Ward and the Ohio Untouchables, which is one of my favorite songs to play. I love it.
And what is it about that has like stayed through all the years?
I think it's like sort of a representation of, I mean, I love Robert Ward because he's a guitar player and wrote his songs on the guitar, and you could tell that they're very kind of guitar-oriented soul songs, and those are the kind of stuff that I like him. Same with Don Covey was a big, you know, Bobby Womack are all guitarists who wrote songs, and even Sam Cooke was you know, wrote his songs on the guitar, and that kind of has this particular, you know, especially like all the songs that have this big 6 chord at the beginning, you know, I love that. That'll turn me on anytime.
Just like Cupid.
Exactly. You know, so I think that, you know, and Robert Ward, you know, he's probably my favorite guitarist. He's an amazing singer, you know, and very unacknowledged.
Would you mind performing it?
Whew, I don't know. Let's see. I could play. All right, I'll give it a shot. Let's see.
Live on Snacky Tunes.
Let's see. I haven't played this solo in a long time. We'll see how it comes out.
We're very forgiving here.
You ready?
Yep.
Let's move it closer. You can leave the plate. It sounds good.
I'm tired of wondering. I'm so tired of wondering. Stayed up for days, ain't had no sleep, yeah, I'm tired. Yes, I am so tired of wondering. So I'm asking you to help me, baby. I need you, mama. You're driving me crazy. Slow me down. I'm gonna cry right now. I'm tired. Yes, I am so tired of wondering. Oh, yeah. I've been around the world to see what everybody was putting down. I made my last stop, oh, you know I did, in St. Louis. Oh, that's when it came to me, baby. Oh, it hit me right now, my love. Oh, did you? Where my heart's at. So I'm asking you driving me crazy. Slow me down. I'm gonna cry right now. I'm tired. Yes, I am so tired of wondering. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Ah, don't leave me, no, 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 no. Woo! Ah, you know I love you. Ah, I'm so tired now, mama. Hey.
I mean, yeah.
Okay.
Sounds like you remember that one. So, you know, a lot of the tough thing about loving soul music is that so many of the people that you respect and would love to play with and collaborate with are no longer with us. But if you did have the opportunity to work with some of the people, who would it be?
Well, I actually think the amazing thing about soul music is that a lot of people are still with us, and I think
Touche.
No, I mean, obviously,
See your point.
No, but I mean, obviously, like, you know, people say it's like, oh, Sam Cooke is gone, Otis Redding is gone, all this stuff, but so many amazing people are sort of languishing, you know, and there's, you know, a great bunch of guys who run a night in Brooklyn called Dig Deeper, where they bring in all these, you know, under-recognized old soul singers, and the two of us actually have put on the first and second annual Brooklyn Soul Festivals with some of these artists. You know, I mean, one of them who I've gotten to work with 4 or 5 times now is Roscoe Robinson, and Roscoe has become a really good friend and mentor of mine. We speak, you know, probably, you know, once every couple of weeks, every month or so, and he's really just been a very, very strong presence in my life as a singer and as a songwriter and just in general. You know, I think, you know, soul music, all these kind of singers are children of the 40s for the most part. So that you see all these singers that, you know, they're in their mid 60s a lot of the time, and their grandparents, and they're living, you know, a lot of them have moved back to the South from the northern cities and are just sort of languishing, and are so, you know, when you call somebody like Barbara Lynn and say, I want you to come and play in front of 520 somethings in Brooklyn, and she's just like, I don't understand, you know, and she does, and she plays and kills it, and it's just like, why are we not understanding that this is real, you know? So I think a lot of that has to do with people not going past the surface of soul music, and because there were so many different regional variations and all this stuff, and all these people that you know, they may have had one hit or two. I mean, Barbara Lynn had a number one R&B hit, and yet nobody really knows who she is at this point, which is, I think, a shame, and it gives somebody like me, I feel like, you know, a task. I feel like I would be remiss if I didn't continue to work with these people and seek them out.
Do you find that it would, you know, doing something like where you did a duet CD or something like that, like, is that something that could really help spread the knowledge of that more than just doing one festival or just collaborating with them as a one-off? You
know, I would love to do something. I mean, we did a duet with Barbara Lynn for the, KEXP in South by, I think? Mm-hmm. No, something like that. And it was on their CD, which is really cool. I think that more than anything, just to continue to play and to reach a younger audience, and through that, you know, I think people have to sort of do the exploration on their own a little bit, you know, and to find out the people that they like. But, you know, any chance I get, I'm going to be talking about the people that I love and the people that have influenced me. The hard thing about it is it's very expensive to do shows like that, right, and to do, you know, but, you know, for me it's a labor of love, and I'm willing to do it, you know. But I think as you know, soul music continues to establish its presence in the mainstream, which I think is more than ever, it's continuing to do so, then those kind of things will continue to happen in earnest.
I mean, look at R. Kelly's new single, When a Woman Loves.
Seriously.
I mean, that is a straight up R&B classic. Again, if I'd heard, I mean,
even the whole aesthetic looks like Ray Charles on the cover.
Well, it's funny. I mean, R. Kelly, it's just like he went to high school on the south side of Chicago. You know, he was immersed in that from a very young age. Right. So it's completely natural. He's just doing Jackie Wilson, like I'm sure he's been doing since he was 5 years old.
I mean, he's been doing that.
You know?
He's just been singing about
exactly
other things.
You know, so I love, and I think it's a great song, and I think it's great to hear, and it's just sort of like,
and the whole part 1, part 2 thing that he does.
Yeah,
you know, it's great.
No,
it's a total classic. With the backup singers and everything.
No, it's a beautiful record, and whatever the CeeLo track, you know, that is, you know, like on top, top 40 pop radio these days.
Yeah, and that's classic soul. I mean, that's the same thing, but again with a more modern influence. Do you see yourself borrowing some, now that you grew up in soul, but now that you're touring and you're seeing these things? I know you just put out this album, but do you see yourself sort of adapting or using other influences of modern music?
I think that I hope that this album, I mean, is more representative of kind of my own perspective as a songwriter. I wasn't setting out to make to remake some style, and I don't think that I am for the most part. I think that I'm sort of doing what I know how to do, and yes, I mean, I'm excited to continue to record and expound upon the style as much as I possibly can. But I mean, I think that since the Amy Winehouse Back to Black, there's been all this rumbling. It was like, oh, soul music is making a comeback. Soul music is going to be pop again. And that was 5 years ago now.
Right.
And it's just now really starting to happen. And I think it's like with the CeeLo being in top 40 and stuff like that. That's like, it's a big turning point.
Yeah, I think that the CeeLo and the R. Kelly thing is more than when they trucked out like Duffy because Amy Winehouse was a mess. It was like
sort of a joke. I mean, we actually toured with Duffy.
Sweet Girl.
Yeah, very nice. But it was clear that she wanted to be a pop singer and she was not a soul singer.
And they were just like, oh wait, Amy Winehouse is in rehab, so you'll be doing soul music.
And look at the hooks. The rehab is no, and Mercy is yeah. It's the same
right,
hook.
Right.
But I think that people are I'm not. I feel like you can't really be too conscious about style. You have to just kind of let it grow, and that's what I mean. I feel like if you look at Roll With You versus this new album, Come and Get It, I think stylistically they're quite different, and I think this one does lean more towards pop, just because I like poppy soul music, and I think that's cool, and I think that people are going to respond to that naturally. I don't necessarily think that it's because of like, hipsters getting into soul music. I feel like this is like with the CeeLo track and the R. Kelly track, this is more mainstream, like actually mainstream and not just hipster mainstream,
Right. So we got you playing Soul Bowl this Wednesday, Brooklyn Bowl.
That's right.
With the Del Reys and Spare Kid. Doors are at 6, show is at 8. You gotta let me give out the information.
Give the information.
Yeah. And you can
$10.
$10. Really great deal.
Fried chicken and bowling.
Fried chicken, but we'll be dropping classic soul hits throughout the night. And I know that we added on some special guest DJs.
Yeah.
And it's going to be great. It's a good Wednesday. I mean, one of the first big shows of the year.
I think so. I mean, I think it's going to be awesome. Brooklyn Bowl is a great venue.
We're Wednesday's finest. What can people expect from the live show? Who's never seen you before, and the new show that's about to hit the road?
It's we do probably about 70% stuff from the new album and some from the old album, and a few surprises here and there, like kind of blend some things together and extend some things out, and add the flair for the dramatic that you need when you're playing soul music. So I think that people will just be it's a really exciting show, and I think if you let yourself get swept up in it, people will really be excited about it.
Awesome. Well, Eli, Justin, thank you so much. Eli, we're going to have you take us out on one more song.
All right.
We'll do the whole thing. MySpace, Facebook.
Oh, that's right. So it's EliPaperboyReed.com, one word. Facebook.com/EliPaperboyReed. I'm all over Facebook, Twitter. So if you write me a message, I will respond to you as long as it's not dirty.
Or the right kind of dirty?
Yeah, or the right kind of,
right,
whatever.
right.
It's all good. And then, come and see us on Wednesday night. Well, actually, in addition to that, if you're beyond the New York area, on Friday night the 14th in Boston at the Middle East, and Saturday night in D.C. at the Rock and Roll Hotel, and Sunday night the 16th in Philadelphia at the North Star Bar. And all those dates are on the website, EliPaperboyReed.com.
Awesome. Well, I am Terry Diabolic of Finger on the Pulse.
Did you never forget a Finger on the Pulse?
Thank you so much to Roberta, Jack Inslee.
We have a pretty big announcement coming up in a few weeks. Very excited about.
Do we?
Do we? We do.
Have we not already talked about it?
I mean, we're going to officially announce it and talk about everything.
If you just go back and listen to the archives, which can all be
But
found.
don't tell people where they can tease.
Snacky Tunes on iTunes. Anyway, thank you so much. Happy New Year, everybody. Eli Reed, take us home.
Here we go.
Tell me what I wanna hear. Tell me what I need to know. Tell me that you love me, dear, and you'll never, never let me go. 'Cause even if it isn't true, oh, I promise I'll be good to you. So tell me what I wanna hear, oh yeah. Tell me what I need to know. I don't need to believe that look that's in your eye, 'cause you keep on telling me, darling, all those sweet, sweet lies. It doesn't matter, baby, if you mean what you say, 'cause I'll keep on loving you, baby, in your way. Tell me what I wanna hear. Whoa, tell me what I need to know. Tell me that you love me, dear, and you'll never, never let me go. 'Cause even if it isn't true, oh, I promise I'll be good to you. So tell me what I wanna hear, oh yeah. Tell me what I need to know. Hey! You know that I'm not blind, I just don't wanna see all of these things, pretty baby, you've been doing to me. You know I can't love nobody else. So if you don't need me no more, keep it to yourself and tell me what I wanna hear. Tell me what I need to know. Tell me that you love me, dear, and you'll never, never let me go. 'Cause even if it isn't true, oh, I promise I'll be good to you. So tell me what I wanna hear, oh yeah. Tell me what I need to know. Oh, tell me what I wanna hear, oh yeah. Tell me what I need